The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
This is Africa Diaspora Connect.
Join us as we take the journey from the motherland to America.
We share our experiences and learn from them.
Here is our host, Kibathi Gaturu.
All right. We're back. Studio 21. Hey, listen, it's been a ride. We're on show number 8, I think. The comments, the feedback has been terrific. I'm trying to push an agenda, though. Podcast, my people. Podcast, all right? Spotify, let's hear this, the audio. This looks good. I know the settings are, but I want to push you guys. Podcast, audio. So Spotify, Podbean, download the apps. Trust me, when you're driving to work, to the gym, working out, this voice will even be better. All right, so think about it. My people, podcast. All right, what are we doing today? I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'll figure this out. I want to wing it somehow. But let me ask you a question. What does it take to join the most elite military force in the globe with an annual budget of close to $750 billion with a T, dollars, which is like 3.4% of the GDP, ranked first in the universe? The GDP of your 3 East African countries at the corner, the Horn of Africa, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, is around 180 billion. In essence, the U.S. military GDP alone equates the total GDP of Nigeria and South Africa. Let me give some trivia here. The U.S. Armed Forces dates back to June 1775 with the creation of the Continental Army, even before the Declaration of Independence. The Navy came in second, and the Marines were joined third, specifically to defend the new nation against the British Empire in the American Revolutionary War. You heard it here at the Africa Diaspora Connect. Yeah, history trivia. I learned that 2 hours ago, but story for another day. So from Army Strong, be all you can be, to Semper Fi, always faithful, the few, the proud, always the Marine. I have here with me another diaspora journey. Jimmy Mwihia represents the very best of Army Strong, and he's still at it. You know, he's served both the Army and the National Guard. Do oppresso liber, to free the oppressed. Hooah! Dan Kariuki amplifies the very few, the proud, the Marines, always faithful, Semper Fi, improvise, adapt, and overcome. Hoorah! Hoorah! Welcome to Studio 21, and take us through this magnificent journey. And most importantly, congratulations for having served in the world's finest elite military force. I'm sure the female likes our audience will be all over the show. Ladies, I got some real men here. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, let's start this off. What's the journey? How on earth do you decide someday when I come to the United States, I'm going to join the military? I'll take this. Man, you look like a mean dude, man. You're one mean-looking guy. Let's start with you, man. How did you decide to get into the military?
I always say just as mean, not as lean.
Just okay.
But my decision to join the military came by accident. I had a dream as a child to learn about helicopters, and this came about when Jomo Kenyatta passed away.
1978.
1978. There was a helicopter hovering over Buruburu. And as a child, I was wondering, this massive thing, how does it just float in the air?
Okay.
You know, so when I came to the U.S., I tried to sign up with some helicopter classes. It was too expensive for me, you know, and decided to join the military.
Wow.
And that's how it happened. So
how soon after you landed did you decide to take that journey?
I think 3.5 years later.
Really?
That's when I decided to join the military.
Did you know which branch you were going to get into?
Actually, I did my ASVAB through the Army because my friend was an Army recruiter.
What did you call it? The what?
The Army.
No, you said something through the Army.
The ASVAB.
ASVAB. What is ASVAB?
That's the initial testing. That's equivalent test across the whole armed forces.
Okay.
So I did through the Army, and that's how I ended up. Ended up joining the Marines.
All right. Jimmy, what's your journey, man? How did you get involved? How did you get started?
So my journey is two-part. So as a young kid in Kenya, you know, I had family in the military, in the Air Force. So seeing uniform, you know, you fall in love with the uniform. You get excited. You want to do it.
Yeah.
But I went to college I studied in Kenya, came to the U.S., decided that I'm going to be an American. This is going to be my home. So the best way I felt to really give back into this new home that I have is join the military. Everybody has seen how much honor and reverence is given to the military.
Yeah.
I wanted to give my kids something to be proud of.
Wow.
Right? So I say, you know what? I'm going to do the time, be a true American.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There we go. There we go. And did you know you were going to be in the Army? Does that... So?
No, just like him, I knew a soldier is somebody who wears uniform and does what he's told to do, right? So I didn't even know there's 150 jobs in the Army. I just did the ASVAB, excelled, and they told me, this is what you're going to do. And I did it.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
I wish I knew better, though.
How old were you guys when you joined?
25.
25?
Yes.
I think I was 22.
22?
Yes.
22.
Yeah.
Boot camp.
Boot camp.
Yeah. Boot camp in the movies. That's some guy screaming at you. I would slap that guy. I would slap him silly. How do you survive that? I mean, how do you deal with that?
Well, I'll tell you, I joined at the right age of really understanding how life works. A lot of the things you see in boot camp is a 17, 18, 19-year-old. So he's yelled at, he's screamed at. And the idea is really to take out your civilian mentality and put in some military thinking.
Okay.
To do that with 9 weeks, there's not only so many ways you can do it.
Yeah.
You overwhelm the person, you yell at them, you psychologically stress, sleep deprivation.
Wow.
To just forget your military. It's not kumbaya, right? But now once you start listening, you're starting to learn the military way. And then the I tell people, you will never be beaten in the military. I don't know your experience, but it's illegal to hit somebody, to beat somebody up for them to do something. This is the greatest army in the world.
Wow.
So they train you. By the end of boot camp, you're physically, mentally tough.
Wow.
You're ready to do your military job.
Wow.
So.
How many times did you want to quit boot camp?
Well, let me tell you, man. I think within the first month, our boot camp was 3 months.
3 months.
3 months, and I think within the first month, I wanted to quit 20 times every day.
Wow.
But we didn't have a choice. First of all, I'd already committed myself that I have to finish this. Then the Marine Corps boot camp, you can't really quit because they can't make you quit.
Really?
They force you, they push you, they run backwards when you're running 3 miles and you think you're doing your fastest. Really? And you still have to.
No one quits like we see on the movies.
You can't really quit unless you've been injured, broke.
Wow.
They might recycle you. But quitting is not really an option.
It's not an option.
It's not an option.
Not an option.
But it was hell.
Wow. It's 9 weeks. Same 9
So
weeks.
Army is 9 weeks for basic training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
We got 12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Yeah.
Understood. Wow. We're learning. ADC right here. Yep. Deployment. All right. Who's gonna go first? Deployment. How do you mentally just get ready for something of that nature? Dan, you go first.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
You can never be prepared.
Okay.
You can be ready. That's why they call it military readiness. But you can never prepare, because if you're prepared, you're just saying that I'm ready to die if I die. Okay. But you can prepare, you can get ready for your mission by making sure your gear is straight, you're trained, you're physically fit. But the preparation part is just something I guess you leave up to God. Just, hey, hope I come back.
Really?
So when you come back, that's when you just thank God and, thank your fellow troops for, having your back and protecting you and just moving on life.
Where were you deployed?
I went to Iraq. I was 8 months. I went on a MU, military Marine Expedition Unit, 13th MU. Went to Hawaii, Singapore, Dubai
Hawaii?
twice.
Were you on holiday? What do you mean Hawaii?
Hawaii is the way out. It's the last stop on your way out. Fuel, get cargo.
Were you like little umbrella,
No, on the ship.
Oh, no, okay, on the ship.
For like 5,000 people, troops on the ship.
All right.
So we stopped in Dubai, fuel up. We stopped in Iraq, Tikrit, and then went to Kenya for 3 weeks.
Oh, you went to Kenya?
Yeah, went to Kenya for 3 weeks. Operation Edge Mallet.
Operation who?
Edge Mallet.
Ugali? Let's talk about deployment, Jimmy.
Yeah,
talk about deployment.
I like pointing out deployment. So I've had 2 types of deployment. There's a local in the U.S. So I was in Katrina, Louisiana, when Katrina happened.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a local deployment, and I got to see the U.S. in a different light.
Okay.
Close to martial law, where there's chaos in the U.S. and you see how the U.S. uses its National Guard and its resources to bring civility.
Understood.
And, just that small deployment opened my eyes what I need to prepare my family for when I'm away.
Understood.
Right? So, but my other deployments, combat deployments, I've been to Iraq in 2007, and I went to Afghanistan in 2011.
Wow.
Which that was a combat deployment.
Talk about that readiness. How do you psych yourself?
So, like he says, the thing with the Army is that they've been doing this for a long time. The U.S. Army has been doing this for a long time. They're very prepared. You know, they help you prepare your family, your finances, you know, your will. You always have a will. You know, and then, you know, out of experience, there's family readiness groups where, you know, if you left a wife at home, she's connected with other wives and husbands who are left behind. There's some preparedness that happens on the back end, right? But like he said, if this is your first time, when you hit the ground, you know, all plans go out, you deal with what is in front of you. And that's where there's that gap where when the soldiers go away, there's that silence that they need from home to focus on what's happening. So,
So I got to ask it. So what was your weapon of choice when you served? You know, I mean, what do you have a standard ammunition?
So I was what you call an infantryman. That's the foot soldier. So my primary weapons are regular, you know, there's a pistol, but, you know, the favorite is the rifle. There's a, you know, a saw, machine gun. And then there's other crew-served weapons that you mount on vehicles. We went all the way to grenade launchers. We could always call in them, you know, the Abraham, you know, the Motormen and all that. So you have a long slew, but as an infantryman, you have about, I'd say 6 or 7 weapons right around you. With you,
Right. How about you?
M16.
M16.
Can't go wrong with that.
Sylvester Stallone, Rambo.
You can't go wrong with that. That was my weapon.
That was your weapon.
I was aviation, so we didn't interact with a lot of weapons like the infantrymen did, but I was a service weapon.
So can I assume you guys are now gun-toting NRA badge carriers, Republicans now? Because is that you guys now? What's up? I
have guns. I have plenty of guns. And I love being in Texas because it's probably the best place for having guns.
All right.
Guns have to do more Second Amendment than any political party. So yeah,
Jimmy, always politically correct. So now that you're veterans, you're back to civilian life, right? So what do you think the military did for you guys to prepare you for now us civilian? What has it done? How has it amplified your life? You go first.
I say basically the 3 principles: honor, courage, and commitment. You know,
honor,
plus
courage,
and commitment. And everything else you were taught by your parents. You know, about being a man, a good man, a good citizen. And the military has prepared me in a lot of different ways, whether it's financially, you know, like right now, you know, my children can go to school without having paid the hefty price that other kids are doing. You know, there's a lot of benefits with, you know, home taxes. You don't have to pay property taxes if you're 100% veteran. So there's a lot of benefits that come with that.
Did you make me a bet this morning?
No, I didn't make you bet.
Oh, yes, you're a military guy. I mean, aren't you supposed to do the basic make your bet? How about you, Jimmy? How was it prepared you for civilian life?
So prepared, like he said, of course you have to have a good foundation, whatever you are raised with your parents. But the military discipline forces, one thing you get is discipline. The U.S. military is a values-driven organization. And people talk like that. Like he said, duty. The Army talks about duty. There's loyalty, there's duty, there's respect, selfless service, there's honor, there's all these values, and that's how we talk. Like when I call out my partner for dropping guard a little bit, I'm calling up on his value. Hey, show some honor, show some integrity. That's how we all behave. So now, porting those into the job, into civilian life, you do stand out. It helps with the leadership roles. The other benefits are, you know, financial, like he mentioned. You know, there's tax breaks depending on your percentage. I mean, like he said, you could go without paying property taxes. Imagine on your mortgage,
I did not.
They drop the taxes. You're able to function. And like I say, it's not free money because these guys come back with a little baggage.
You've earned it.
He comes out with baggage and it gives him that opportunity.
You sign a blank check to the U.S. government.
Exactly.
Seriously.
For your life.
And that leads to the next question, the advantages. You talked about your kids can go to college for free? Like for free?
They get an amount. They get an amount that subsidizes their tuition. And I believe the amount was $1,200 a month. Plus your books are paid for and everything. Then for your medical is very affordable. First of all, I don't have to ever pay a medical bill again. I just go to the VA and they take care of all my medical issues. Same thing with my children. They have access to the medical, which is extremely cheap.
Wow, you served. Something about loans. What were you talking? We were talking about earlier. You wanted to mention something.
So I'll qualify a little bit of that. A lot of these things are driven by you qualify for these things. You know, not everybody who signs up for the military gets all this.
Okay.
So if you have a disability, they work it out. Really, it's really to help you cope in civilian life, like you asked, like you said. But as you know, there's financial benefits, like the taxes thing. When you go to apply for a loan and you don't have 20%. You know, a few years ago, you could not get, a few years ago, you started getting offers of zero down, right? Military always had that, right? But now you have to pay for PMI because you don't have 20% equity.
Yeah.
Military people don't pay that PMI.
No PMI.
VA-backed loans.
Yeah.
Right, so they're more stable.
Wow. We just actually had a show on mortgages last week, and that's something that was covered. We're learning. Yeah. And let me ask you this now. A lot of our kids graduated from high school, like my son's on the sofa, but I remember when he was graduating, he was getting a lot of calls from recruiters to join the military. Can you walk us through that and let us know your thoughts on, because I did not want my son personally. That was me. I'm that dad. But walk us through that. As our children are coming and asking us these questions, how should we approach them? And how is the recruitment done for, I'll let you go first with that.
So yes, I really want to say a lot on that. Let's backtrack a little bit. What is the military? There's various branches of the military.
Okay.
What can you do in the military? I know the Army has around 150 jobs. I think the Marines has like 300. That's what they advertise. There's so many. There's a cook in the military. There's an accountant. There's a doctor. There's all these professions.
Is there a podcast guy?
There's definitely yes. Yes. There is a podcast guy, and now that we're getting into cyber space, there's all that technology, all that cyber warfare. So, and then once you join the military, whatever branch you choose, there's two branches you can take. You can go enlisted or officer. Right?
Okay.
That is like doctors and nurses. You're both doing the same thing, but officers, commissioned officers are in charge, right? But the work is really done by enlisted men.
Understood.
Right? So when a kid from college, to be an officer, you need a college degree. Right? Or you should be working towards a college degree. By the time you graduate with your degree, now you become a full-fledged officer.
Understood.
Right? So when you want to join the military, you gotta start thinking about it. Get educated on that. If your kid is college bound and they want to have a full-time career outside the military, they should probably finish their college first. Because when you're active duty, the Army comes first, or the military comes first.
Okay.
It takes you longer to graduate, and there's impact on your career. But if you know you're going to be a career military guy, go in all the way. And then within the military, you get your degree. I'll tell you, officers make significantly more than enlisted people.
Okay.
So, if you're thinking about those things, you need to know that before you sign the paperwork. Although this is the US, it's after the draft, there's no draft. You can always work your way to where you want to be, but the thing I say is that be more proactive, just like in any career.
Would you have let your son Curtis join the military out of high school?
I would have, just because now I have an understanding of the benefits that come with it.
Okay.
After you complete. But you also have to understand there's a age limit. I believe the Army is 35.
Okay.
The Marines is 29. Yeah. So whoever's out there is trying to join need to hurry up before.
Make that decision early.
In the 50s.
No, there's a
really. Oh, okay.
The podcast position is not going to be available.
I'm going to throw something at you, and I'll let you carry on. I'm going to mention 3 letters: a P, a T, an S, and a D. Post-traumatic stress disorder. You go. Run with that.
PTSD is real.
Yeah.
It's real, and I'm glad that the U.S. and the VA is taking it seriously now. Because there's a lot of programs out there that assist the veterans and service members with these issues. You get interviewed and you see a psychiatrist and psychologist, whether you think you have it or not. So it's their job to identify that you have it. It's not really left to us to go complain that you have PTSD. So when you're doing your out brief, your medical evaluation when you're leaving, you're talking to a specialist who will pick up. They'll ask you different questions. There's different tests that they'll give you that will identify that you're a candidate for PTSD. But it's real out there, and some people have it worse than others. There's different triggers. Some people might be, like in my neighborhood, there's a lot of people who's all retired military. A lot of people don't do fireworks.
No fireworks.
We don't do fireworks in my street.
July ain't happening.
In my street, we don't do fireworks. We go do them elsewhere. Fireworks don't bother me. And other people might be bothered by the smell of gasoline. They might relate to the pits in Iraq, the oil pits in Iraq. So everybody has their own struggle, but it's up to the experts to identify how they're going to help you with your own struggle. So it's not a blanket, this is a solution for PTSD. But it is real.
What about you, Jimmy?
So yes, PTSD, we've all accepted, that it's a reality. So we've lost 45,000 soldiers after they came back stateside.
From all the wars?
45,000 from this Afghanistan-Iraq war.
This recent?
45,000 basically from suicide.
Suicide?
We lost 4,500 from combat, but we lost 45,000 from suicide.
Wow.
So that is our biggest effort. So, and I'll say this, historically, World War I, World War II, most people died because we didn't know how to manage wounds. Right, people, you get shot in the leg, they cut it off, you bleed, you die, you get infection and all that. We learned that lesson. Come Vietnam, they learn about tourniquets and all that. You see all these prosthetics. The US is really good at prosthetics, right? So what we didn't learn is the PTSD part. They call it shell shock and all that. But this is the second wave. Now, this is when we are really appreciating that was a problem and they're addressing, they're including civilians to solve it. So I feel like, and then the thing that comes from the military, people benefit, civilians benefit. So what we learn from PTSD from the soldiers will be used in community.
Okay.
In our next war, I think we'll handle things different.
Yeah, and one of the topics I'm going to be covering soon enough is mental health. And because this is something that's traumatic, that's really, it's been hushed. No one wants to talk about it, but it exists, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Moving along. African Americans are highly visible in the military, okay? That's what I heard, just doing my research, okay? But almost invisible at the top. This is an article from the New York Times this spring on May. Out of 41 most senior commanders, listen to this, right? 4-star ranks, only 2 are black. So according to this article, most African Americans are known to specialize in logistics and transportation as opposed to combat, arms, specialties like infantry or artillery. Jamie, I'll let you go with that. Is there any truism to that? What can you say?
So I was in the National Guard. I would have liked to hear his answer first.
Okay, all right.
Because he was in active duty.
All right, let's go, brother.
Well, for me, I believe whatever happens in the corporate world mimics exactly in the military world.
Okay.
We might have a few black CEOs at the top.
All right.
And it reflects the same way in the military.
Same thing.
And whatever bad habits you get from your culture, you're going to bring in the military.
Yeah.
But one thing the military does, and I have a true example from one of my bunkmates, is it changes people's minds. For example, we had a bunkmate from Tennessee. A white guy never ever even touched a black dude or talked to a black dude.
Like Ben, my producer. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah.
He's doing much better. But and this guy, when we came to graduation, he became a very good friend of mine.
Yeah.
During graduation, he told me, "I want you to meet my family, but I have to explain to them." Because I didn't even realize that my senior drill instructor was going to be a black guy. So I have to go explain to my family, and I went and met the family, and they were like, "Hey, nice meeting," or whatever.
And you're one dark dude.
Yeah. I'm chocolate.
Okay. No, I'm chocolate. You're dark. Go ahead.
But with that, it changes a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
And when you know that you're going to be in the same bunk with the guy who grew up differently, or be in the same fighting hall with the guy who grew up differently, it kind of changes their mind.
The brotherhood really sets in.
Yeah.
It sets in.
100%. Like, I love the U.S. military. I call it the best organization in the world on paper, and a lot of it in practice. I also met a lot of people, like people from Wyoming. A friend of mine was getting married. He called me to Wyoming and he told me, "You're going to be the only black person." I said, "Oh, at the wedding?" He tells, "No, in town." Like, that's, and they want to touch your hair. There is that, but it's a melting point. You'll find that military people who've worked with people from other races are more accepting. Like, they forget about race and all that, right? Okay. But like he said, there is that thing. One thing I wanted to point out is that the South and the North is different. In my experience, I'm from the North.
Yeah.
There's very few black people. There are very few black people in the military.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to hear his experience, because in the South, there's a lot of people in the South.
Yeah.
And historically, there's that tension.
Yeah.
And in the military, it's me telling you what to do.
Understood.
That kind of has a historical background,
Yeah.
So rather than being told what to do, get into a program where you're working, like you want to do a mechanic, you want to be a driver, you want to do things that can help in the civilian world.
Yeah.
you're going for the military for different reasons, not to be told what to do.
Africans in diaspora, listen, man, we have our brothers and sisters out there doing great things in this U.S. of A. Now, let's talk about your civilian life. What did you do in civilian life? What channel in life did you take?
Well, when I first got out, like I said, I was a helicopter mechanic in the military.
Yeah.
And when I got out, most of the aircrafts on the West Coast were deployed. So we couldn't really get jobs. But I was fortunate to get a job with the Army as a civilian, working on helicopters. So I did that for a couple of years. But my dream of working helicopters was childhood. So I worked all the way into QA, and that need was gone.
What's QA?
QA, quality assurance.
Okay.
So I was in quality assurance. I actually worked on President Bush's Marine One helicopter.
You did?
Yep. And after that, I was done. So I started looking for another job. I got a job in energy engineering in California.
Okay.
Did that for so many years. Got out there, came to Texas. And that's where I just retired from.
So you're younger than I am, and you have the audacity to walk in and tell me you're retired. How the hell? You're younger than I am, and you tell me you're retired. Can you? How's that possible? I'm 9 to 5. Like right now, I'm still on the clock. As a matter of fact, like how are you retired?
I planned my life right.
Oh, okay. I'll let you go.
That's the benefits.
The benefits.
Yes.
Yourself, civilian.
So civilian, I'm an IT professional.
Okay.
Actually, I delayed my deployment. I signed up before September 11, but I delayed my deployment to finish college. I'm an IT professional. I've actually held the same job for 15 years.
Wow.
And because of the U.S. law, I mean, I leave, I go deploy, and I come back. They honor my years in service.
Understood.
So I was able to do careers, and I was able to do that because I was in the National Guard. Right? With the National Guard, you're part-time.
Yeah.
When war comes in and you're activated, you go full-time for about a year and a half, and then you go back to your job. So you can keep a career going if that's your thought,
Understood. So now I want to ask a question now. This is the elite of the elite. I've been doing some research. How do we get our kids to attend these, what they call the elite service academies, for the coveted officer class? I heard about West Point. I hear about the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy. Is it like going to an Ivy League school? How is it the same thing, Jimmy? How do we get them to enroll in these institutions?
So my take, it's exactly the same. Attitude determines altitude, right?
Attitude determines altitude,
right? So if you want to go to an elite school, if you want to go to the military, learn about it. Learn everything there is about it. I Googled it. I went and saw what it takes to go to West Point. You're a top performer, academically, health-wise, and aptitude. You have a leadership aptitude. They look for that. How do you do that? When you're in high school, you start taking leadership stuff. There's another shortcut, taking ROTC. Yeah. And during ROTC, they help, I believe, pay for your school.
ROTC.
It's a officer candidate
program for young folks.
Yeah, but it's in high school program where you're in uniform, you're training. They're paying for your college with a promise that you will join the military.
Okay,
and that's one way of becoming an officer because they give you the time to finish college, and when you come back, you're an officer. I just want to point out. As a captain, which takes about 5 years to make it if you're an officer, you could live in a lifestyle of $120,000, and you're only paying taxes on probably $90,000. I like talking money because people think you go into the military and there's no opportunities.
Wow.
And then if you get in the right job, you get security clearance, your pay jumps to almost $200,000 depending on your skill set, right? If you're in IT and the things like that.
Wow.
So people don't think military is like, oh, my life is not going well, join the military. That attitude, you'll be kicked out of the military, you'll have dishonorable discharge.
Wow.
But, if you want to excel, it's all your attitude.
And I'm going to answer because actually I work in talent acquisition for Fortune 50. And one of our biggest targets is actually getting veterans. It's like, because you guys are renowned. I mean, your leadership skills, even as a sergeant, you have just overseeing, I don't know how many tens of people. And there's a big push in corporate America to recruit veterans. So that's definitely kudos to you guys, 100%. One other question as we wind down slowly here. Rivalry between Marines and Army. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about it.
Who goes first?
Let's break this down. All right, I'm in the middle here, so let's be easy on this. All right, I'll let Mr. AK-47 here go first. You go first.
I'm 16, but
oh, sorry.
I'm 16.
I was testing you.
That's the Russians.
I was just testing. All right, and go ahead. Rivalry.
I think the rivalry goes way back, and it goes as far as the training that we go through. First of all, boot camp is long now. And I think we go through more hell because on week 10 we have the Crucible,
The Crucible.
The Crucible is hell on wheels.
Okay.
And it's a 54-hour training exercise where you only sleep 8 hours. You do 40-mile backpacks, everything.
Okay.
I've never seen blisters that big.
Seriously.
But to make it short, I mean, think about who guards the president.
Who guards the president?
The Marines.
Okay.
Who guards the U.S. embassies across the globe?
Okay.
The Marines.
The Marines.
And we like making fun of these guys.
Oh, Jimmy, you're in trouble, but I'll wait for you. Go ahead.
Hey, the tomb of a known soldier is left, cemeteries are left to the Army guys.
Oh, snap. So, brother man, how do you take yourself out of that one? Drum roll.
So, no, unfortunately, I am, I don't know, I'm a diplomat in a way. So, the way I understood it, if you're the general, you're top guy, you gotta specialize people. So, the way I explain it is that I believe the Marines are an invading force. The Army is an occupying force.
Invading versus occupying.
But we are the original. You see that 1775? That was the Army.
That's the Army.
The Minuteman in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Minuteman meaning they pick up, I think the horse. When they put the word out, you should be up in a minute. There was no Marines then. All that was...
all Army.
All Army.
All right, all Army. Any regrets? Have you ever regretted joining the military? Any regret whatsoever?
Well, apart from the first month of boot camp, I don't think I regret after that because it just gives you the honor of serving.
Understood.
And when you graduate boot camp, they give us the Eagle Globe and Anchor, and that's Marine Corps emblem, and the pride that comes with it when the national anthem is playing. I know everybody cries. I don't know anybody who never shed a tear 100. When you get that, because you know what you've gone through, you know what you're going through, and they teach. There's a lot of apart from just the physical, there's a lot of knowledge exchange that goes on out there.
Wow.
So you know what you're providing to this country, what you're doing for them.
Any regrets, brother?
I have no regrets, but I don't want people to just get into the military without knowing. Like if there's so many things I could have done different, and like I said, attitude determines where your path goes. If I knew more, which is what we're asking people to ask questions, I would have done a lot more.
Understood.
I have no regret. I'm very proud of it.
There we go.
The national anthem, the flag, I feel it, right? We were aligned.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
One more thing. I mean, for the young folks out there who are thinking about joining the military, it would be great if you just talk to us, talk to veterans, or just go to DAV, talk to the old school vets out there, and find out about the military before you join. It's just like he said,
do
your homework before. Because I went in blindly, and luckily I went in the right path.
Understood. So. One last question: Have you ever shot someone?
Can't discuss that.
What? All right, guys, listen, we are winding down. Listen, amazing. This is really concrete. But guys, listen, please be sure to like this episode. This is the one. Subscribe to the channel. Come on, hit that bell and ding to be informed when the next episode is released. Email Africa Diaspora Connects @gmail. I always mess that up. You can see it right there. Guys, great show. Thank you so much, and thank you for all you've done for us mere mortals. Thank you. Signing out. Thank you.
Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.